that is available by the sign-in sheet. Public participation is not a question and answer session with the board. If you would like an answer to your questions, please submit your request in writing to the board clerk. Okay? Mr. Collada.
Good evening. I've had the opportunity to sit in on many of your subcommittees, committee meetings the last few weeks, and I have to compliment all of you on the time you put into these meetings and the effort you put into making them beneficial to the staff and to the students. One in particular that I thought I would want to comment in detail on is the Curriculum and Instructional Committee. I was impressed by the scope of the discussions ranging from the needs and the concerns of students, staff, and even the community. At the table, there always seemed to be room for those parties that were interested or participating in the topics, teachers, administrators, and all came prepared to make the time there apparently valuable to everyone's interest. Everyone seemed to be giving attention to and focusing on the needs and the points of view related to improved curriculum instruction, rather than just pushing things along. Overall, I got the impression that everyone there was being proactive. We've taken an approach to the future needs of what the students need, what the teachers need, as well as what this district can do immediately and then down the road. Overall, I found this encouraging set of circumstances valuable in terms of how we spend our time managing the education of our students. It appears that you are now redirecting your attention to the academic learning needs, as well as balanced with those of the staff, along with the costs and the outcomes. It looks like you're getting into the big picture rather than just worried about one or two things and leaving out other important elements. There was a mention at a previous meeting of the committee forming two subcommittees related to IB and the gifted. One suggestion I have, I understand those committees have not been set up yet, is to combine the two plus the concept of honors in different schools to organize it to focus on the goals for addressing this need across the whole K through 8 program in all buildings, rather than just trying to look at one versus the other, or what's going on in one school versus another. And just as you were looking at the needs across the entire 9th grade or 10th grade regarding a particular subject, looking at the entire needs of all students K through 8 and addressing their special learning needs as it relates to giftedness and talentness, as well as aligning it with what the state standards are and how we can build that into a budget and into a program that is both meaningful and accommodating. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to address the board on agenda items? If not, we're going to move on. Agenda item board president, we have a resolution to adopt policy number 1050, the annual district election budget vote on second reading. So I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Item B, a resolution to authorize the board president to execute, thank you, an end-user agreement with Emerald Solutions, that's board docs. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Thank you.
You gotta be mad at the end for this.
Okay.
So now that, thank you for the approval of this paperless board system. It's about an 8-week turnaround by the time we approve it, to the time they get up and running, come to the district and do training. And once I hear back from board docs, I'll let you guys know when they'll be in the district, and we'll get everybody trained on the new system. So we should be up and running by, I would say, maybe the first or second meeting in January.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Our agenda items from the superintendent, Dr. Padilla.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. Hope you're bundled up and warm. My first item for tonight is recognition, school board, New York State School Board Recognition Week. And I prepared the following statement for our board members. It is my privilege and honor to recognize our Board of Education members this evening. School board members provide countless hours of service to our school district and strive to provide the resources necessary to meet the needs of all students. Today is school board recognition across the state, and it is designed to thank current and former board members for their dedication and service on behalf of their students and their districts. Our board members serve as the community's voice in setting goals for each of our schools. They serve without remuneration and dedicate extraordinary amounts of their time on behalf of our school children. As citizens who serve children, our board members face complex and demanding challenges, yet few people fully understand the scope and far-reaching implications of board members' responsibilities. We should recognize the vital contributions of these men and women and focus attention on the crucial role these public officials play in the education of our children. They make a real difference for students. Their job is to establish a vision for the educational programs, design a structure to achieve that vision, assure schools are accountable to the community, and strongly advocate for continuous improvement in student learning. That job entails countless string of meetings, school functions to attend, reams of reports, agendas, proposals, and other information to read and study, and a host of difficult decisions to make. Please join me in sharing our collective appreciation and gratitude to these servant leaders.
On behalf of the board members, thank you, Dr. Padilla, and thank you, everybody that's here. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much.
I only wish there were more people here to recognize you. And just on behalf of our district, we just thank you again for the work that you do and leading us. The second item is around credit recovery and accrual, and I just want to give a very, very quick update. In our last curriculum committee, I provided an overview of the work that the redesign team has been engaged in regarding Board of Ed policy 5205. Recall that is the policy the board passed in August that provided us, again, that vision for how we go about supporting students who need it. The redesign team has been working on a guide that will ultimately provide guidance for course recovery, quarterly recovery, and credit accrual. And at the November 10th board meeting, it is my plan, along with the redesign team, to provide the board and the public an overview, a more comprehensive overview of the work. So please be on the lookout for that. That will be part of our workshop piece. We have several items for a workshop that day, and that is one of them. And then lastly, I wanted to give you an update on the New York State accountability system. And so as a result of the approved ESEA waiver, New York State will, and I have several items here that I just want to make sure I communicate clearly to you, make modest changes to the methodologies for identification and removal of priority schools, focus districts and schools, local assistance plan schools, And very importantly, identify a new list of priority schools and focus districts and schools by February 2016. So that's a very, very important date for us and other districts across the state. So you'll be getting some other information during that time. The next piece regarding this waiver is the requirement of more intensive interventions in re-identified focus and priority schools, and beginning this school year, 15-16 school year results, identify as focus schools those schools that have been local assistant plan schools for 3 consecutive years. And currently we have 2 schools that currently fall in that. They're part of year 1, and that's Gidney Avenue and Gardnertown. So for item B, is a resolution for a mentoring agreement with Dr. Laval Wilson.
You've heard the resolution coming from our superintendent. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Discussion or questions? Yes, sir?
Will the board be getting an update monthly, or how does that work as far as finding out how that's going?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but I'll take a stab at it. You would like an update on how the partnership is going?
How the mentoring partnership is going? Is there going to be feedback from the mentor to the board, or is it just directly between you and the mentor?
Yeah, this is designed for just me and the mentor, and I'll just add additional comments. You know, Olympic athletes and some of the CEOs in America's largest corporations have coaches and mentors, and superintendents should be no different. We ask our teachers, we give them mentors. We just designed a brand new mentoring system for our administrators. I recommend the board have a mentor, and for me, it's no matter where you are in the organization, this is something that's healthy and productive. This is not for remediation or corrective action. This is simply a way to model that having mentorship is a positive thing. I've had the privilege of building a relationship with 2 of the national superintendents of the year. I mean, these are individuals who are at the top of their game, and they have mentors. And so when I'm in my 15th year as a superintendent, I will seek a mentor.
Ms. Prakash, do you have a comment?
No, I just think it's a fabulous idea for the top person in our district to have a mentor, because I think each of us need to hone our craft. When I first got on the board, I sought out a mentor, which I still deal with. And I mean, when it's been here the longest, not long, but the longest of everybody at the table. When I taught, when I first started teaching, I sought out a mentor. And I don't think it's the type of thing where there is a report back. It's for your own self-benefit, to make you a stronger person in the field of study, or the field that you're going into. And that's what I look forward to being able to do, instead of being out there, you know, on your own. I mean, we have each other, you know, but, you know, the head honcho needs somebody too, to help him along the way.
Mr.
And
Howard?
bounce things off.
Yes, I just would like to say I think it's a great idea. As the old saying goes, iron sharpens iron, and I think it's a great idea to reach out and have someone within your fields, someone who's there or someone who's been through what you've been through, and then reach out for mentorship. So I definitely agree in the model, and commend you and wish you well.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, Mr. Clark?
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prakash?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Thank you. Item C, resolution to authorize the superintendent of schools to execute maintenance renewal agreement with Sirius Computer Solutions, Inc.
You've heard the resolution coming from the superintendent. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So, second.
Questions or discussion? Yes, Ms. Burgh?
President, how long is the maintenance renewal for? Is it a multi-year, or is it just 1 year?
I
Is it
believe it's
like-
annual.
Annual? Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Spitzer?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution D, item D, sorry. Resolution to authorize the superintendent of schools to execute consulting agreement with AG Consulting.
You've heard the resolution coming from the superintendent. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Spitzer?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Thank you. Item E, resolution to authorize the superintendent of schools to execute agreement with Core BTS.
You've heard the resolution coming from the superintendent. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. O'Connor?
Once this resolution is passed, about how long will it be before the upgrade is completed in Temple Hill?
I know we're going to put it into place immediately, so I would say within the next, I don't have a time frame in mind, but this is prioritized, so this is to give additional access points for Temple Hill.
Thank you.
So as soon as possible, as soon as we can.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Spitzer?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Madam President, that concludes my items.
Thank you, Dr. Padilla. We have board committee reports. Buildings and Grounds Committee, Ms. Krokosh.
Yes, in the past couple of weeks, we had a couple of building and grounds meetings, specifically to interview 5 companies that are vying to get a energy performance contract with the Newburgh School District. I think it was a total of about 6.5 hours worth of listening and questioning and so forth. And I thought it was a fabulous a chance for us, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity for the school district moving forward. But I have to thank the committee members that came and spent those long hours with the various companies when they gave their presentations. I'd like to thank them a lot. And that's basically all we did for building, not all we did, but that's what we did for building grants the
Thank
last
you.
couple of weeks.
Thank you, Ms. Prakash. Audit and Finance Committee, Mr. Capertino.
We had 2 items. The first item was the new budget for 16-17, and our other item was busing. We were looking at busing in there. We haven't made any decision as of yet, but this is something that we're going to be addressing.
Thank you, Mr. Capertino. Curriculum Committee, Mr. Stridiron.
We met on October 21st for an hour and 45 minutes, 13 minutes shorter than the previous meeting, and we'll try to make it shorter next time. So in 1 minute, I'll try to sum it up. We had an update from the C&I team. We discussed the launch of the 2015-16 Professional Development Portal, and on the 21st, there was a variety of courses offered to the teachers in-house in our district. The Literacy Pre-K through 5 initiative was an extensive detailed presentation from Mr. Brown and Ms. Hatfield, and we approved the geometry textbooks to be sent to the board for approval. 802 textbooks with also 6 years of online versions. And we had a CNI Pulse Check launch from Mr. Aviles, and a high school redesign update on credit recovery and accrual from Dr. Padilla. And the CNI updates, we had a lot of information, but smart bonds, the smart school bonds was submitted. There's a grant being applied for NASA to make the NFA Maine Science Visitor Center. And an ELL parent orientation, I believe it was held at the Armory. Thank you. And the next meeting is November 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Stridiron. Our next agenda items come from our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Forgy.
Thank you, Madam President. My first item is recommendations from the CSE and CPSE committees.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Deputy Superintendent. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Ambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridziron?
Yes.
My next item is a resolution to authorize the board president to execute a consultant agreement with Vital Behavior Services.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Deputy Superintendent. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridziron?
Yes.
Ms. Ambito?
Yes.
That concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Forgy. Our next agenda items come from our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Mrs. Felice.
Good evening, Madam President. Item A is a resolution to approve conference requests.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridziron?
Yes.
Ms. Ambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Thank you. Item B is a resolution to approve field trip requests.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, questions? Yes, Mr. Stridziron.
Does this approval include transportation to the events?
It does.
I would like to ask a question because I received an email today regarding the math team in the middle school level. And what happened there was the board had approved some portion of funding for math team. And then after the kids signed up for the math team, they were told that there was no funding for transportation, so they canceled the team. So I want to know, how does that happen? And who made the decision to cancel the team without coming back to the board for approval for funds?
Madam President, I would have to research this particular item that Mr. Stridziron is speaking of.
Okay. Mr. Cupertino?
I was just looking, they only have $12 in their fund for the math club. That's all it's in their student activity fund.
I think we need to do a little bit more research. Can we bring that back in 2 weeks at the next meeting, please? Dr. Padilla?
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Stridziron?
If we wait 2 weeks, then there'll be no chance to have a math team for the fall. Is there something that could be done in the meantime so that they can actually have a math team?
Well, I think what we can do is we can research it and they can send stuff out to us and we can see then. But we can't make any formal, agreement on it until the next meeting.
If the board approved the math team, why does it have to come back to the board for approval if it's already been approved? I don't understand that.
The only reason we would is if we were gonna add money to their pot of money, and that's the problem, I think.
When we approve other trips, we assume that the transportation is included, or it's, how long have we had the math team for? If it was some other basketball team, we only have enough transportation for 2 games, we'd have 150 people down there.
But I think in their budget allotment, there is money there for transportation. Otherwise, the group has to
Point of information.
get money. Yes, Mr. Howard.
Point of information. I understand what he's asking,
Uh-huh.
but there's a motion on the floor. That's
Yeah,
not the
so
main
we've got to go
motion.
back to our motion.
That's a
and
great
then-
topic, but it's all, this motion.
Well, it does talk about extracurricular, it says we encourage participation in extracurricular activities. And if we're voting on a trip, I want to make sure in the future that if we're voting on something, the money budgeted before we vote on it.
Well, this money is student raised, I believe. Ms.
Yeah, I
Prokop.
just want to give a clarification, point of clarification. This motion that's on the floor is from, trips and field trips. It's nothing to do with the Schedule J, and Schedule J is what the math club is under. So, the math team of math club is under. It's not under this guise. So it's like apples and oranges, basically.
So let's let Dr. Padilla and his team get more information and come back to us, please, okay? So anybody else have discussion on this agenda item? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Thank you. Item C is the resolution to authorize the superintendent of schools to purchase geometry textbooks from Perfection Learning AMSCO.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Thank you. Item D is a resolution to authorize the superintendent of schools to execute a contract with Dr. Joan Miller.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Item E is a resolution to authorize the superintendent of schools to execute a contract with Dr. D. Burlinghoff.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Mrs. Felice. Our next agenda items from our Assistant Superintendent for Finance, Mrs. Heslin.
Thank you, Madam President. The first item is a resolution to accept bills and reports.
You've heard the resolution coming from our Assistant Superintendent for Finance. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Item B is a resolution to approve the 2015-2016 initial contract with Duchess BOCES.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Finance. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Item C is a resolution to approve the 2015-2016 initial contract with Rockland BOCES.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Finance. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Questions, discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Item D is a resolution to approve the 2015-2016 initial contract with Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Finance. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Item E is a resolution to approve the 2015-2016 initial contract with Southern Westchester BOCES.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Finance. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strudier?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Item F is a resolution to approve facilities use requests.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Finance. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strudier?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Item G is a resolution to appoint Johnson Controls Incorporated as the school district energy performance contractor and to authorize the board president to execute a contract.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Finance. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? I'd like to make a comment because I sat in on all those meetings, and from somebody who knew absolutely nothing about what they were talking about at first, by the last one, I really now understand thoroughly what's going on, and I was very impressed with Johnson Controls. I also believe that they're going to be doing a part of their contract will be helping our students. So in addition to making us a green school district, they're going to have a portion that will be helping our students with internships and such. So I think that's really important. Dr. Padilla?
Additionally, I'd like to thank the board for each of your commitment in providing the stewardship to help us become energy efficient while helping us to save money. Right? So I think this is a good way to have cost savings that ultimately go back to the classroom. So thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strudier?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Mrs. Heslin. Next agenda items from our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Mrs. Limer.
Thank you, Madam President. On the Human Resources agenda, items A through G, we have classroom teacher appointments, change of status, other professional appointments, a leave of absence, and on the civil service side, we have appointments, change of status, and resignation.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. Does any board member wish to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strudier?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Resolution H is to approve additional appointments for the local assistance plan team at Gardner Town School. Funding sources Title I.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Strudier?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Resolution I is to approve the appointments for the morning program at Horizons as listed, and the funding source is the Community Schools Grant.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Mr. Stronach.
When does the funding for the grant end?
I don't have it. Would you like? Go
This
ahead.
is the second year of the three-year grant.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Mr. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strudier?
Yes.
Resolution J is to approve the appointments for the after-school project at Meadow Hill School. The funding source is the 21st Century Learning Community Grant through the Boys and Girls Club.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Resolution K is to approve the appointments for the expanded learning time at Temple Hill Academy, as listed in the funding sources, the 21st Century Learning Grant through the Boys and Girls Club, and Assemblyman Scartato's grant.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Resolution L is to approve additional appointments for Schedule J.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Resolution M is to approve appointments for the 15-16 winter and spring coaching.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Resolution N is to authorize the superintendent and the board president to execute the SED hardship waiver regarding the AVP.
You've heard the resolution coming from the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Mrs. Limer. We just have a note coming about the Community Schools Grant. So this is the last year for Horizons. It started 13-14, then it was 14-15, and now 15-16. So this is the last year for Horizons. Yes.
Is there anything being done to try to extend the grant for more years or to secure additional funding?
Can anyone answer that?
I don't know that that is an option, but we can certainly look into it.
Thank you. Let's continue on. Agenda items from the clerk of the board. Trying to get you out to watch the ball game. Mr.
Thank
McCoy?
you, thank you, Madam President. I have the approval of minutes of the October 13th, 2015 meeting.
You've heard the resolution coming from the clerk of the board. I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Ms. Zambito?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda?
Yes.
We're now,
That concludes my items, Madam President.
thank you, Mr. McCoy. We're now at the public participation on non-agenda items of the meeting. Pursuant to board policy, public participation is limited to 5 minutes per speaker for a total of 30 minutes for all speakers. There's a timer in front of the room that will keep track of your time. The timer will begin when you start to address the board. Please direct your comments to the entire board and not to individual members. If you have any questions regarding public comment, please refer to the public comment procedure form that is available by the sign-in sheet. Public participation is not a question and answer session with the board. If you would like an answer to your question, please submit your request in writing to the board clerk. Did anybody sign up? Is there anybody that would like to address the board on non-agenda items? Can you please give us your name and address? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Miranda Johnson. I'm at Courtney Avenue, Newburgh. I'm coming to you tonight as a concerned grandparent. My grandson attends school at South Middle, on the other side of town, on the south side of town. They reside on the north side of town. Now, he's in 7th grade, and his parents have been told that 7th and 8th graders don't get busing to the south side of town, to South Middle School. I'm just concerned because as the winter months are approaching, and he's 12 years old, his most vulnerable time of life, he's got to walk, and we all know we've got mean streets here. He's got to walk these mean streets of Newburgh to get to the other side of town. It concerns me because as the winter months are approaching, we're going to have rain, which we're expecting tomorrow. We're going to have ice. We're going to have snow. It concerns me because he's got to walk. He's been told because he's in 7th grade, next year he'll be in 8th grade. There is no busing for him. This is ridiculous. He's got to cross Broadway to get to the other side of town to go to South Middle Street. My thing is, which street would you think is safest for him to walk on? To get from this side of town to the other side of town? None of them are safe. When you think about it, none of them are safe, especially when you have a 12-year-old boy who, thank God his father is who his father is because he comes from me, his father. This is just ridiculous. It's really ridiculous when there's a bus that's available, but because they live within 1 mile, he can't get busing. And it just does not make any sense to me. It just really doesn't make any sense to me why somebody on this side of town has to cross Broadway to get to school. We want our students to flourish. We want them to attend school. And we're making it impossible. We're making it difficult. We're not making it impossible, but we're making it difficult for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the board on non-agenda items? Thank you. We need to adjourn to a second executive session. So, for employment history of particular individuals. We will not be taking any action when we return. So may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session, please? Roll call, please. Yes, we do have 5 minutes.
Mr. Goodire? Yes. Ms. Zambito? Yes. Mr. Cupertino? Yes. Mr. Howard? Yes. Mr. Johnston? Yes. Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Mr. Menuda? Yes. Ms. Prokop?